Well, we're joined now by the chair of the committee, former Attorney General, as we mentioned, Dominic Grieve. Good morning, Mr. Grieve. A lot of attention on the peers appointments section of this report. It's quite a wide-ranging report. What else have you been looking at?
We've been looking at lots of other things. We've been looking at the ministerial code and how you make sure that that gets enforced. Conflicts of interest and declarations of interest by MPs and ministers and how that can be streamlined to make greater public confidence in the way it works. Relationship between the executive and Parliament, and trying to give Parliament a little bit more teeth in how they can hold the government to account. Secondary legislation, which is the way we're largely governed nowadays, and it isn't properly scrutinised, and how that might be improved. How the Electoral Commission can actually act as the guardian of our parliamentary democracy and have proper powers to carry out its work. How we can make sure that special advisors are properly integrated into both ministers and the civil service, and generally how we can make sure that standards and ethics in government are improved and that the public then say, actually, this is working. And this isn't about looking at ancient history or passing blame on people. It's about looking to the future. It's saying we can do things better. They're not actually very big changes. They can be implemented quite easily, but they can be done and they need to be done.
So, Dominic, let's tackle peerages head on. What are the problems with them and what are some of those tweaks that you've suggested that might make them, well, let's say fairer?
Some people would like to see major reform of the House of Lords, but we haven't touched that. That's a legitimate subject. We've simply gone to look. There's an organisation, a committee called HOLAC, which is the House of Lords Appointments Committee. And that is there to vet people who are going into the House of Lords. But the Prime Minister has effectively a power to ignore what HOLAC says. So what we've simply said is that the Prime Minister must submit a person whose name he wants to put forward to go to the House of Lords. The Prime Minister has that power to HOLAC. And if HOLAC say that person is not suitable, because either their past record makes quite clear they're not suitable, or there is absolutely no evidence that they're going to be able to make a contribution to the way the House of Lords works, it is a revising chamber, not just a political honour, then in those circumstances, the Prime Minister can't appoint.
I mean, in terms of the cronyism that we've seen from successive Prime Ministers, whether it's putting people who perhaps have no qualifications for going into the Lords or rewarding time servers with gongs, the public perception is that the honours system is bent with cronyism, if not completely corrupt. And it kind of devalues it for people who've worked hard all their lives and may get given an MBE or an OBE and should feel very proud of receiving that honour. Why are you actually letting the Prime Minister have any influence over these appointments at all? Shouldn't this be an independent committee who says, right, these people need to be assessed and rewarded thoroughly without any sort of political patronage?
You could. I have to say I'd be very much in favour of that. You could put the House of Lords on a statutory basis. You could say that there is a commission for appointing peers. You could say that they have a broad remit. They've got to maintain a balance between the political parties. They've got also to make sure that they're independents and leave them to get on with it. And people could feed in names to them, but that decision would be final. But that would be a major constitutional change, because the current position is that ultimately it's the Prime Minister who decides, even when it's names put forward by the leader of the opposition or the leader of other opposition parties. So granted that, what we've said is, let's do a significant improvement, which will at least mean that people who are going into the House of Lords appear to be fit and proper people to be there.
Just before you go, what hopes do you have that your proposals will be adopted either in part or wholesale by the existing government, setting it up for the next government to take on?
This was a non-partisan commission that we set up. We've given our findings to the leaders of the three main political parties in the United Kingdom. I would be delighted if any of them were to take it up. I am confident that there are some who are very interested in what we've done. And in fairness, I know there are also some Conservative cabinet members who are interested in it. But I have to say that for a number of reasons, I would be delighted if a Conservative government were to take this on board and say that they would implement this. But I think it's probably more likely that a positive response will come from elsewhere.
Well, we will wait and see, and we can ask the politicians when they come on the programme. Dominic, thank you so much.